The title of the message is Battle Tested and Ready. I was at World Harvest Church, Bishop McClendon, a long time ago, and someone was up on the altar getting prayed for. He was just praying for a whole row of people, and the Lord told me to go over to the left of the stage. Go over to the left and stand there. And he said, "I'll bring you what I want you to have." He said, "I'll bring you what I want you to have." I said, "Okay." So I went over there and I stood, and I could see the whole stage from there, but I was off to the side in the midst of a bunch of people. This is the second time, because I told you about Peter Drucker yesterday. I was in the midst, at the very back of a crowd of people that was not obvious. And this time I was standing back again. And I'm telling you this because you have to know God. You have to know who we're serving. You have to, if you don't know anything else, and if you don't spend enough time in the presence of God to know him, all I ever say is know the voice of the Lord. So when he's moving, you will be able to recognize it. That's what I'm always saying, because that's how you're going to get your instruction. And so I stood over to the side, and Bishop McClendon was leaving the stage, like going to the back to his office, leaving the altar area. And he stopped in his tracks, and he turned around, and he put his finger up as if he was looking for something. And he started scanning. It was about at least 1,000 plus people in there. He was scanning the front, scanning. And he walked down off the pulpit, down in the audience, and scanned. And then there I was standing, and he went through all the people and got to me. This man stopped what he was doing. I'm just trying to explain to you because I don't even know him personally like that. He stopped what he was doing. You could tell something spoke to him because he was walking with haste to get back to his office, but he was more interested in being obedient to the move of God. It just takes one. It just takes one to be in position and to show up, or being obedient to move a whole bunch of stuff. So he stopped, and if you could see how that man stopped, and I was thanking God, thank God. I don't care what you say about people, different ones in their life or whatever they're doing, but the man that can hear from God and stop on a dime and pivot and do what God tells him to, that's the one. That's the one that can hear and not following, trying to find out, trying to do this and trying to do, that's a follower. But God, you got to have that direct hookup. To be a general in this army, you got to have a direct hookup. You got to hear from God, and you got to be willing to be all in with him. All in. Army does not mean you sit and read about the army and navigate from your home. You are on your body, and all that you are is on the front line with him. And if you're not willing to commit all on the front line with him, because he don't even ask us for all, he asks us for doable. And if you're not willing to do that, when Jesus gave up everything, you ain't ready. You will not be in this army. You will not be part of this. I promise you. If you're not willing to give up some stuff, some of you know I'm talking to, some of you don't know who I'm talking to. If you're not willing, if God has told you to stop doing something and you're still trying to come back, well, I don't see nothing wrong with it. Keep it. Go ahead on. Keep it, and you will not be part of this. I'm not looking for somebody trying to fit sin and even questionable, even if it's not, you don't know, trying to fit it in. Because where we're going, we don't have room for lack of integrity. We don't have room for, oh, wait, maybe I don't know. We don't have room for, I want to keep what I'm doing and do that. We don't have room for, I want to still hang out and be this and that. I want to operate like I want to, and I want to go and be able to go in the presence of God back and forth. We're not in the outer court. We're not in the inner court. Holy, 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 holy. We're going all the way in. We're going all the way in, and you have no business in there if you do not have the stomach for what he asked. He asked Abraham to take Isaac up a hill. And everybody, sometimes you don't know when you're being tested. But God tested Abraham before he gave Abraham what he was going to give him. And because Abraham was obedient, that's how we got Jesus. That's how we got Jesus. He tests the vessel. Don't think you're going to get through this. Don't think you're going to walk all the way up into the Holy of Holies untested. No, you're going to be tested. And if you do not pass the test, you will not go in. And however he tells me to cut, trust me. You trust me. Before you even know your head will be off, you will not be on the prayer line. You will not be on nothing, touching nothing, no unclean hands touching nothing, because we have to go all the way in. This is serious. I got to hear from God. Jesus. Joshua did not win the battle. Why? He was sin in the camp. You think it's not a serious thing? It's serious. It was sin in the camp, and it's not sin like you think. It's not sin like you think I'm a bad person, a good person, because David kept winning. David got messed up. He got jacked up. He got chastised, but David kept winning. David had a heart for God. He had courage. David ran up to Goliath and handled his business. He was fearless. That's what Jesus, thank you. Gideon, that's the first group got cut, was the scary people. I do not want anybody scary fighting around me, for real. Because when I need you to be there, you're going to run. No, out. I don't even want, I'm telling you, people will not be able to call this number, because I'm not going to spend 5 minutes outside the presence of God talking to a scary wannabe. This is for real. This is real warfare. This is not, I want to look like a soldier. I'm going to buy a soldier outfit and go down there and get my gun and look like I'm a soldier and ask everybody what they're doing. But when it gets hot, I'm going to run home. No, you can't run home. You in it or you're not. You up or you're down, in or out. That's how boot camp is not. If you could go home from boot camp, every one of the soldiers would go home as soon as it got hard. They wouldn't be committed like that. Jesus committed to the process. He committed at a level. God hasn't asked us for that, but let's go back to Abraham. Abraham knew God well enough. He knew God well enough. That's why I told you guys 2 days ago I was crying like a baby, because I really did not want to go there. But I had to have a nevertheless moment, because I had to go through the fire. Sometimes you win people by cutting them off, because they think it's funny. They don't really understand what's going on. They do not understand what is happening. But unclean hands will not touch nothing happening up in here. Will not. And when I mean unclean hands, when you looking at God looking back, I'm not sure. Don't go. You will not have anything to do. And the test was failed, because test means test is faith. Test means I'm trusting God with the situation. Test means I can't see it all, but I know God, I can hear him. Test means I know enough about him that I'm standing in his presence and I'm trusting him with it. Test means I don't have all the pieces, but I believe God. That's what test means. So Abraham had to go up the hill with Isaac and the wood. He did not know about the ram in the bush at the bottom of the hill. He did not know about the ram in the bush at the bottom of the hill. He only found the ram in the bush when he committed. When he did what God told him to do, then he saw the ram in the bush. Then the promise came. Then all the blessings started to pour out. Then Abraham was Abraham. Abraham could walk from the ram. He wasn't tested like that ever again, but he did have that test. I had my test 2 days ago. Some of you guys have in your test now. Some of you guys have had a test and still trying to fight about what you should do. This is it. Today is the day. Today is the day. Some is going in, and this is the wedding banquet situation. Some's going in and some not. Some's going to go in, and some going to have to go back another 40 years or however long. Whenever it happens, God bless you. But if this train is pulling off the station, and that is exactly how that is happening. God will test you. He's testing the vessels before he blesses. And part of the responsibility of being a leader is to make sure that every vessel is tested and able to do what God asked them to do. If he asks you to do something, cross the street and say this. Like that lady her job, her calling is she's a demon slayer. I mean, she goes in and she chased down demons. And she said she got voted in the city council. And she said, she was saying today we're going to act civil. We're not going to act up. We're not going to cut up. Today I'm going to act like a normal person. She had said that before she left the house. Got there where they were going across the courtyard or wherever to take their pictures for the new city council, and there was a woman inside the park displaying. They had demonic was being accosted by a demon, demonic warfare. Woman possessed by a demon in the park. She couldn't stop herself. She was running across the courtyard, took her shoes off, and went over there and cast that demon out. Had to. But see, what's your first call? Who are you first? Not who are you second, third, and fourth. So if you got God down somewhere on a totem pole, that's fine. You'll get into heaven. But don't stand up and act like you're a soldier because you're not going in. You're not going into the battle where the real rewards and riches are. You're not going in. Because if God's not your first, if God was not Abraham's first, he would have never went up that hill with Isaac, believing God, believing him. He told him to take Isaac up and sacrifice. And Abraham had enough sense not to tell Sarah, but went up the hill. And Isaac is asking questions. Where's the goat? But he said Abraham said the Lord will provide. The Lord will provide. God will handle his stuff. He will provide. He is the source. The Lord will provide. And he went up the hill and got ready to sacrifice Isaac all the way to the knife. He was getting ready to do it. I don't know what he was thinking, but he was getting ready to do it. Angel, Abraham, don't harm the child. Stop. There's a ram in the bush. That was a test. You get tested. The trying of your the testing. You get tested. The trying of your faith work with patience. You get tested. Can you give them up? Can you give it up? Can you give that up? Yes, I can. Whatever it requires, Lord, because you see you're too far in. You have committed your life. You've committed yourself. You've committed all that God has asked you to do. You have done. God, you have to put God first. And just by putting him first, he'll show up because you put him first. But don't put him first. It's fine. Nothing will happen. You'll be going on about your business. You'll watch the Betty Baker go down the street. And some of whatever it is, before and after, I don't know what Abraham would have been if he hadn't done that. I have no idea. I know that the blessing would have changed. And I know Jesus would not have come because God released Jesus when Abraham released Isaac. His most precious thing, he released it. So then he turned around and the next thing that happened, we're going to be talking about the Good Samaritan, and we're going to be God tests always. Every single time before he goes in, he tests. And one of the things in leadership, and you should know this because all of you are in some form or type of ministry. If God has put you in charge, you better test your leadership. You have to always test your leadership. Don't get in a battle, and that's not the time to test them. That's not the time to test them. Do they show up consistently before the battle? If not, that's not your one. That's not your ride or die. That's not the one you're going to depend on. Every minister has an ministry, and minister has an inner circle of people that he can depend on because you don't do it by yourself. But when those vessels are tested, they're not just thrown in there to do something because they get scared, they flake, the true character comes out, who they really are comes out. And if you have God, it's worse. It's better for, like he said, when the two sons were sent to do a job. One said, no, I'm not going to go, and then turned around and went. One said, yes, I'm going to go, and then did not go. The first one was the one that was obedient. But even though he struggled with it, like I struggled 2 days ago, really did struggle with it. Like, oh, Lord, please, no. And I did. I struggled, and I didn't want to. But then I realized this like you prune back a tree all the way to the nubs, and you feel like you're killing the tree. You're not killing the tree. You're pruning it back because it's getting ready to get a resurgence of anointing, resurgence. You're pruning back because God's getting ready to grow it stronger. So you prune back all the weak vines that are not bearing fruit. You prune them back. They got to go because the tree has to, as a body, the tree has to survive and it has to live. That has to happen in the churches. You heard me saying it yesterday. I kept saying, I don't even know. Oh, confrontation. We were talking about it yesterday. That's what's happening. He is capable of taking care and feeding and handling his church, but the leadership vessels will be tested. And if they do not pass the test, they will be cut off like branches and cast into the fire. And God will raise up a new group, and God will do what he has to do. And I'm not saying new group like all of you. I'm saying new group like whomever is in leadership and whatever we're doing. Everything has to be tested. See, there's a period where everything goes along, and that's fine. But when we get ready to go into battle, just like the Navy SEALs or anything else, you got to have some skills. That's why they call it boot camp. You got to be able to crawl, get on your face before God, get in that mud, get your face before God. You don't, let me tell you again, because everybody wants to know. I want to make sure. Go back and listen to what did God tell you already? What did he show you already? What has his hand been doing? What has he been operating in? You got to know him. You're not going to feel sure. You're going to trust God. You're not going to feel sure. You're going to say, oh, I trust people. I can see it. That's not faith. That's sight. We walk by faith, not by sight. Do you believe God or don't you? So we have to be able to call out the things of God, call out things that are not as though they were. All the things that we have happening, the wonderful things that we have happening, we have to get ready to go deeper. So everything is getting ready to be on lockdown. Everything's getting ready to is being polished up. Systems are organized because we're bringing in a different crew. We're getting ready to bring in people that are looking under your fingernails, making sure this works and that works. That's fine. It has to be that way. We're building an engine. We're building an army. And it has to be right. And it has to be tight and right. Just like the military, when that training, ooh, Jesus. Okay, the training and your training is what gets you to do the thing, not because the firefighters that went into 9/11, that was training. The military, the Navy SEALs, that's training. That's lockdown training. That's where if you're asleep, if you are unconscious and mumbling in your sleep, the word that's coming out your mouth is the word of God, is probably Jesus, because it's in you. It's not something that's on your mind. It's not cognitive. If that Spirit of God operation is in your mind, you are not ready. If you're still thinking, you're not ready. Thinking, lock and load is not nothing you're going to think about. Okay, now where do I put my bullets? Where do I do this? You got to do that thing in your sleep. That's why they have you putting your gun together in your sleep. That word of God got to be in your spirit, because the enemy will attack you in your sleep. You got to be able to wake up and speak that word out in the middle of the night. I bind you in the name of Jesus. Should not be, oh, what am I supposed to say now? You ain't ready. You ain't ready. If you're not ready to do it that way, you're not ready. And we are fighting at a level for real deal. We are setting the captive free. We are coming against the kingdom of darkness. We are going to be binding things that have never been bound before. We're going to be speaking truth to power. You can't go up in there scared trying to say, let me check. You better go sit down somewhere. I don't want no checkers. I need some fighters. I don't want nobody that can't speak the truth to power. If you can't fight, I'd rather take that napkin scenario I told you, that ride or die. Because see, when it gets down to fighting, I don't want that neatly folded napkin that's scared to. I'm not sure. Take your little not sure self and sit down somewhere. I don't want it. I need God, ride or die. I need roll out. Jesus rolled out after the Garden of Gethsemane. Ooh, Jesus. After the Garden of Gethsemane, let me tell you what happened in the spirit realm. He was sitting there negotiating with the Father. Is there another way to do this? Can we do it? Can we do it another way? It's going to hurt. Can we do something? Friends all sleep. And that's another thing. All the disciples was full of food and wine and slept. And he was up there praying by himself because it was on him. It was on him. But somewhere in the middle of the night, Jesus got the resolve. He put his shoulders back. He strapped it on and said, nevertheless, let's go. Let's do this thing. Nevertheless. He had a nevertheless moment. You got to say nevertheless and go in. If you're not ready to fight at that level, get up out of here. Do not call my number. Do not speak to me because I'm in a battle. I ain't got time for you to say, oh, I don't know. I will slap a I don't know. Because I'm here fighting for everybody. For you, people, everybody on this prayer line, we're praying for world issues. We're praying for children. We're praying for the captives that need to be set free. We're praying for those that don't know how they're going to feed themselves in the morning. We're praying for the church to wake up. We're doing some serious stuff up in here. We're not playing. This is not a tea club on my spare time. This you're out of your league if you're thinking this is what this is. There's some different ones trying to keep the sin and do that. I don't want to hear about no revelation if you ain't willing to do what God told you to do. If you're not willing to fast and give up what he told you to give up, don't tell me about your revelation, because the devil give revelation too. Don't try to take this word and put something to it that's not here. Don't try to take it and pick and choose the pieces you want to fit in. That's a lie. You are living out of integrity, outside of integrity. It is what it is, what it is, what it is. And if it ain't right, then let it go. If you got a question, let it go. Because this ain't the place to be playing. This close to the altar, getting ready to throw down, the devil will have you for lunch if you don't know what you're doing. And if you're scared and God has told you to do something and you don't take it, that's on you. Because God, I'm not gonna miss a meal because of God. He makes it happen. He makes it happen every single time. It's a faith walk, and I have all committed. I have committed everything to Him, and I'm not backing down. I'm not slowing down. I'm not turning to the left or to the right. I'm going in just like the Lord told me, and God help whomever else is standing in the way, because I'm gonna do what He told me to do. Period. Figure it out. Go back down and figure it out to the last nth degree. Committed. And that's how the things have gotten as far as they have gotten. It's not a soldier is in training. When you see all the people lining up and you see them all strapped in, they're committed to the body. They're committed to the brother next to them. They're committed to the cause. They're committed to the mission. They're showing up on behalf of everything. So, a soldier is not fighting for himself. He could go somewhere. He could take his family and get out of town. He's fighting for you. These people have died for us. We don't even know their names. In battle, doing the incredible, unbelievable, honorable thing. We don't even know what they're doing. You've heard war stories. You've heard veteran stories. I've heard stories where people have stepped on a bomb and the bomb is set to release. When they put their foot up, it's going to blow up. They have stood on that bomb and told everybody else to leave because they knew it was their time, but it didn't have to be everybody else's time. And they sacrificed themselves. That's what a soldier does. That's what integrity does. Integrity shows up. And you can't get an integrity blessing if you're not willing to be integrity driven. If you're not willing to fight and stand in the gap and pray and get your behind up in the middle of the night and pray like he tells you, and I promise you, I have no parts of it. That's that lukewarm, middle, muddled, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, instability. You stepped on what God told you, and maybe everything else will stand up, straighten out like it's supposed to, but you can't ask God for hard facts, hard blessings, and you all wiggly wobbly up in there with him. You want a hard blessing? God asks a hard price. You want a hard blessing? God asks you for something. Where's your commitment? Are you showing up every day? Are you showing up? Not just talking. It's easy to talk. I could go talk. I could go to boot camp. I could go to boot camp and talk to the general. I can go to the people that create the Navy SEALs and show up every day and have a conversation with them. But if I'm not willing to enter that fight, if I'm not willing to enter that training, then I ain't really a Navy SEAL. I'm just pretending. I'm perpetrating because I'm not real about God. And I'm telling you like this because this is war and people's lives are at stake. If I don't show up to prayer, if you don't show up to prayer, if a soldier don't show up in the spot that was allocated for him, something happens. Somebody is weakened on the line. We can't do that. People are praying. People coming under warfare behind this that we're doing, and they're getting incredibly blessed. God is opening doors. I don't know where we will be this time next year. I promise you, I have no idea how serious this thing has gotten, because God is boom, boom, boom. Doors are opening. I was telling Jackie yesterday, we're going to have to go 3 deep on this. We're going to have to do this. We're going to have to do this other thing. I was explaining this is coming together. And not like a okie dokie coming together. It's soldiers showing up. It's companies showing up. It's people showing up. It's systems showing up. Ride or die. Napkin scenario. Then we're going to be off in a minute. Napkin scenario. You can have a folded up napkin, ironed and pressed and folded all neat, or you can have a raggedy napkin. And that's sometimes how your friends come. Some are neat and folded up, all orderly, and some are all they look like that raggedy napkin. You don't want that. The raggedy napkin, that's the ones you don't want to answer the phone. You ain't gonna take them to a dinner party. You just don't know. But if you get in a twist, that neatly folded napkin friend is not gonna show up. If that one is not showing up, that ride or die, that's the one that's gonna show up. That's the one that's going to come in the middle of the night and will wake up to pray for you, that will come in the middle of the night to get you, that will do whatever is necessary to get the job done. That's the one. That's your soldier. That's the laugh like a dog soldier. That neat one, it looks good in the uniform, but it don't really work. I don't want that. We're too high up on the Navy SEAL means I look good in my uniform, but guess what? I got all the skills. I can pray, I can throw down, I can cast out, I can raise the dead, I can heal, I can do all the things that Christ Jesus has told me and trained me to do. I can do these things. I can call it out. I can stand in the gap and believe God, even though I don't see nothing like Elijah. I didn't see, but I kept, go back and look again, go back. Good. Press don't mean carry. Press don't mean it's going to be easy. Press towards the mark of the high calling, meaning it's something questionable, but you're going to do it because you believe God, not because you're sitting up here trying to figure it out. I do not want to figure it out at this level. Go. Do not go. Go. That's not what we're doing up in here. God will send you a motley crew that will tear up some stuff because they're trained, because they know God, because they know how to get on the front pew of that church and pray down heaven, because they know how to keep the demons up out the altar, because they know how to cover the pastor, because they know how to cover the pastor's wife, because they know how to go into a sick room and call that demonic cancer out, because they know how to get some stuff done, because they've been in the presence of God and they are real deal. That's what we're talking about. Everything else, no. That's why I said they got a beginning class on Fridays at 6:45, 5:45 to 6:45. Get on that one, because this one right here, this is for the real deal. Because it weakens everybody else to pretend to be praying and to pretend to hear from God and really don't know nothing about it. I don't mean it's easy to have a intellectual conversation about God because you're not under the fire. What Jesus did in the Garden of Gethsemane, that was not an intellectual conversation. That was blood, sweat like drops of blood falling off his face. This is Jesus. This ain't just Paul or some other little Mary Magdalene or somebody else. Ain't no regular human being. This ain't any regular human being. Of course you're going to be praying and shaking in your boots. This was Jesus praying that hard. So let me tell you what he was up against. He truly wanted that thing to not happen. But despite all that, he truly wanted that thing not to happen. He truly had a resolve in his spirit. He locked and loaded and said, nevertheless, we going in. And it did cost him everything. Nevertheless, lock and load, he did what he had to do. God is not requiring that of us, but what we're going to show, we're going to show up 100% on all that he has asked us to do. And that 100%, it costs. 100% is everything. 100% is, I don't know where the next thing's coming from, but we're going to do it anyway. Paul and Jan Crouch, let me tell you this last story, then we're going to read. They had to be, and I had to learn all these, I had to hear all this. I had to hear because I had many days I have sat there before the Lord. Okay, you got me out here in the middle of the water. Now what? And the phone will ring. It never has failed. I'll say, now what? And it'll happen. People I know and don't know. God will do the thing because it's his thing. It's his business. It's his church. It's his prayer line. It's the ministry. You belong to him. You're not your own. You belong to him. He'll do whatever he said. And I'm not talking about, look, we're committed at this level. We have a whole realm of ministry getting ready to come through here. A whole realm of people getting ready to lock and load and start addressing issues that are happening in the earth realm. You don't think the enemy's coming against me? Yes, he is. You don't think the enemy wants to sift me like wheat? Yes, he does. And that's why I can't even be tripping about it. I got to be on top of whatever God tells me to do. I don't look at a human being because I apologize because I didn't used to be like this. I used to be really nice. But because I'm in warfare and because of the lies, it's kind of like Harriet Tubman was. You turn back, she shoot the ones that turn back because you go get everybody else at risk. Best you stay here. Because if we're getting ready to have to go follow this North Star and get up out of here, then we need to have everybody lined up, and you got to do it like it's supposed to happen. So Paul and Jan Crouch had mortgaged their home, had given the man $60,000 non-refundable, got down to the last hour, prayed and fasted because, see, when somebody's supposed to do something, the enemy jumps right in there. If I could just stop him right here. If I could just stop him right here. If I could just stop him. That's all he's trying to do. He's going to try to block every possible avenue. And he said that was that time the bank used to close at 3 o'clock. He was 15 minutes to 3. He had his little fake secretary out there because they couldn't pay her. And he was in the office just back and forth trying to find out what to do. Because, see, God be moving people, but people don't do what God tell them to do. That's okay. But I'm weeding them people out now because I need real ride or die. To the best of my ability, I'm going to the real deal. That's why we're doing this Gideon situation. And we're bringing in more soldiers, and we're going to test them. We're bringing in some more soldiers, and we're going to test them because the work is too critical. It's too critical, and it has to be legacy work. It has to be work. How do you think I know all that I know about, all the stuff I know about, including insurance? We had an incredible conversation last Saturday, and now we're having this one today. How do I know all that information? How do I know all this information? Do you think I just sit up here and studied it? It's a download from the Lord. How do I know about intergenerational wealth for foundations? How do I know to be a stockbroker? How did I know to develop highly interactive dynamic software? How did Peter Drucker pull me out of a whole group of people and know I was the one that had the information? He was absolutely right. Do you think that that navigational skills that God has given me is not going to take us all the way to the top of the hill? Do you think that God will start on this journey, have me out in the middle of Front Street, and I don't know what I'm doing? I don't know what I'm doing, but I know God, and God knows what he's doing, and he has performed enough miraculous, incredible, miraculous, and you don't know the half of what he has done. The miraculous and incredible, and been obedient. The reason we have the prayer line is a foundation for the ministry. I never knew that. I never knew you guys were studying for all these 2 years, however long it's been going on, getting word and word and word and learning and learning and learning. Because you guys know more than most highly matured saints know. You know stuff. You know stuff that don't nobody even know sitting up in church every single Sunday because they don't go that deep. They just go enough, and as soon as they start getting agitated, they pull back. As soon as it starts getting rough, they pull back. I'm going in. So we're going to clean house, and we're going to cut it down so we can have that Navy SEAL finely defined group that's going to go in, and they will get the blessing. The blessing that's falling on me is going to fall on them. I am not a millionaire. I am not a billionaire. I am moving that 10C, that $1 trillion bill. What God is doing here is going to affect many industries, not just this one. What God is going to be pouring out, it's affecting many things, not just one thing. And the next calls that I make, let me tell you something. If you think when the enemy pushes me, I always go deeper. So now, because he didn't up his game on me, I'm going to up my game on him. I will be calling and setting up meetings that I wasn't going to have for 6 months just because I'm telling the enemy, I'm not scared of you. You're going to push on me, I'm going to push right back. We're going to find this thing. We're going to go in. And God help whoever is standing in the way. God, this thing is going to happen. What do you think that is in me is me? It's not me. I could go get a job anywhere and do anything to not have to have, but God has a purpose. I love the Lord. I want to see the kingdom of heaven knock the kingdom of hell down. I want to see people saved and released. I want to see institutions set up that will continue to do the work of heaven until Jesus comes back. I want more people to go to heaven than to go to hell. I want people to hear the gospel globally. I want the women that are reading E-Magazine in Kenya on the dirt floor to open it up and see that God lives. I want them to be able to have opportunities that were not affordable when the enemy was running systems. And I'm not bragging, but I have gifts. I'm not bragging, but I know about technology. Why do I know about it? God puts the download in there. There's not a technology that has come out hardware-wise. I had not known about it before it came out. I knew about the iPad 15 years ago before they even had everything without the keyboard. I knew about computers sitting in the box before, when they were still using computers on a big old wall. I knew what a synthesizer was. He would design, drop design all the time. I never didn't have the next phase of things that were getting ready to happen in technology. Just like I can call it out off this scripture, I can call it out in technology. God is doing something. It's not me. Althea is just flesh and blood. It's God. It's the Lord. It is God manifesting, coming up in here, manifesting his will, getting ready to throw down. And he just said, who shall I send? We can find out right now. But let me tell you, for Paul and Jan Crouch, this is why I tell you, I don't have, because if it gets down to it, and Melody, I'm telling you that too. You got to speak truth to power. And if it's time to cut it off, cut it off. Don't even look back. Cut off the head and keep it pushing. Do not slow down. Do not turn to the left. Do not turn to the right. If God has called you into something, you got to handle your business. You must do what he tells you to do. So what happened was, and see this snappy that I have, I didn't have this one. You know I didn't have this when I started on the prayer line, but we're moving. And it's a part of it. It's necessary. Because some of you got ministries that's got to get through. Somebody got to clear the passage so you to get up in there. Somebody got to go ahead of you and clear it out so you can walk through with your gifts and make this thing happen. Somebody got to build the road. Somebody got to go in and cut down the palm trees. Somebody got to go in there and say, oh, no, not today. Let's let this thing happen. This one's got to come through. I got a ministry coming through over here, a ministry coming through. Somebody has to do it. The roads have to be built before the thing can happen. Somebody has to do it. We're doing it. It's happening. And I wonder why he has this ministry, the Monday through Friday ministry called Clear Passage. I wonder why he said that, because I didn't even understand it, but now I do. Clear Passage, that's the ministry. And then we have a media company over here that's busting through the seams because everybody comes to, oh, my God, I never seen anything like that. We're building highways in that area. Clear Passage so you can get through. So you can get through. So Paul and Jan Crouch, Paul was sitting there 15 minutes to 3, and the lady said, there's somebody out here to see you. He got to try to get to the bank down the street, but he doesn't have nothing to go to the bank with. A man walks in there and said, I was going to buy a boat, and the Lord spoke to me and told me to bring it and give it to you. This man was not a Christian. But Paul, and he had not intended, Paul had already, the man was talking and telling his whole little story. Paul snatched the check, ran to the bank, and put it in the bank, and that's how TBN got born. Because somebody, despite their best efforts, was completely bogged down and with the Lord speaking to him. But being that it's a saint of God, I don't want nobody that God can't hear from him. If you can't hear from God, you will not be on the front line. If you don't know how to, if you can't hear from him, not hear from him and do it. Because people hear from God and then keep going, well, what about? It's not going to be comfortable. When you pray a thing and then the thing happens, you have heard from God. When you ask a thing and commit a thing and that, Lord, if you do this, I will do that, and God does this, you're supposed to do that. If you set up if you do this, Lord, I will do that, and then he does this, you have heard from God. I will do that. I ask the Lord all the time. I don't even say if or that. I just say, Lord, handle it. Tell me what to do. And then he starts stripping down, and he's breaking me down. I know he's going to break you down. He's going to break down everything because he's getting ready to rebuild it. He's getting ready to go level 2. He's breaking me down. That's why 2 days ago, he had me out just going, oh, Lord. He said, yes, you got to give it all up. You got to do the whole thing. And I had to come with the whole thing. So now if I'm all in, oh, yes, everybody else going to be all in or out. But it's not going to be no half-steppers up in here, no more.